Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
What's that noise I hear? I think it's a fast-paced digital world. It is full of noise. And we're going to, these next few minutes, hopefully cut through some of the clutter. Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And we've been talking about becoming better leaders these last few days with some questions. And one of the questions that came up, I thought this was a fantastic question. It's like all the noise that's going on, all the technology that's going on, all the stuff. How do you decide what's most important?
Yeah, how do you decide what to work on?
Isn't that a great question?
It is a great question.
How do you get back to what you should be working on? So,
and I'm trying to figure it out every day.
We all are, I think.
Every day.
But I think we have some things that will help us. It's caused us to stop and think about it in our own work a little bit. I love this question from a listener, and so I can't wait to dive in here with you today. So hope you're good. Talk to me. What's most important? How do you decide that?
Well, I think you've got to be anchored in your goals to start with. And then once you know the goal, you create the strategy. And then you can create the tactics. Because in the absence of strategy, every tactic is of equal value. And nobody knows what to work on.
You don't know what to work on.
You don't know what to work on.
That's so true.
And so I think you've got to start with, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I was going to say, that question you've given me years ago, what are you trying to accomplish? That might be the best leadership question in the history of the world. It's a good question.
It cuts through a lot of clutter.
What are you trying to do? I just think that's so good. Even back to vision, which is larger than or before strategy. But what are you trying to do? It's just such a good question. And if you don't have that, it really is, we are at the mercy of the noise right now. I mean, we do live in a digital world, and some of that's very helpful. But if we're not careful, we can just get lost in all that.
Well, let me affirm the question one more time. You get no credit for doing the wrong things well. And my team at Chick-fil-A, they probably heard me say that 10,000 times. and here's why I kept saying it, is we had been so fortunate to recruit, to select, and retain amazing people. Whatever they did, they would do it exceptionally well. I had very few conversations over the course of my career about, we've got to raise the quality and the caliber of the work.
Right.
I had thousands of conversations. What should we be working on? And I think as leaders, that's one of the primary ways we add value to these hardworking and passionate people, to be sure they're on the right track.
Yeah, I like some. I think that's fantastic. I like some questions. What are you trying to accomplish to help with that? But why does it matter? I think sometimes we forget why things matter, and when we do, we get a little sidetracked, and the next thing you know, we start working on things that they're important, but they might not be most important. That was the question. Like, how do we get back to what's most important? So that's a good question. I like having some questions to ask ourselves. When does it need to be done by? I mean, I think sometimes.
Well, what's the urgency?
I was going to say, a sense of urgency comes from that question. If it's next week, but if it's 2 years down the road, we probably do need to be working on it. But there may be some other things that need attention.
Yeah, there can be false urgency.
There could be false urgency. So it's, again, the leader has to decide, the team has to decide, but somebody's got to be making sure that we stay on point with what it's the idea of focus, right?
Right. But now let me say, it's great to start with this conceptual model of what are goals, what are your strategies, let's build a tactical plan. You've got to work on those things that are thrust upon you.
Right.
I mean, you will have fires to put out. Now, the trick here is that as the leader, you become the fire chief, not the firefighter. You'll get thrust into some of those sometimes, but you can waste your entire career as a firefighter.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you've missed an opportunity.
I had a CEO we were working with, and he said, I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole. I'm just putting out fires every day I come in. And so that does kind of make me want to ask you the question: what's important today? I mean, are there some things that would even this question it feels a little broad, strategy, vision, all that kind of stuff. But how do I decide what to work on today? if I'm that leader? Like, you got a thought there?
Well, hopefully,
It's probably some of the same answers, but
yeah.
but I think sometimes we lose focus, and then the next thing you know, a month later, we didn't do on that Thursday what we were supposed to, and that Tuesday, and then it doesn't add up to what we're supposed to have accomplished. We sometimes we procrastinate, right?
Well, I think it goes back to an answer to one of the questions from a previous episode. I think preparation matters because I believe that we need to plan our daily calendars with the end in mind. What needs to be accomplished today? What needs to be accomplished this week? What needs to be accomplished this month? And then you allocate and steward your time accordingly. Again, I don't want that to sound easy.
Yeah.
It's a battle
Yeah.
because the world is conspiring against us. You
Yeah.
know, we've written and talked a lot about quicksand. The quicksand is real. Busyness, complexity, distractions, fear, fatigue, success, all those things are real. But you need to be anchored in what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Again, at a day level, at a week level, at a month, quarter, year, you know.
Decade. I mean, it can go as far
Right.
as
I told you, I just updated my 30-year plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to live my life on purpose. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to be intentional.
That's
And
that's
then
good.
when I get off track, I'm going to try to bring it back.
Yeah, this is such a good question. What are you trying to accomplish? What's really important in this noisy world, all the stuff that's going on? The reality is one of the things that's always going to be important is the time you put on growth as well. And so many times we have strategies and vision, all this stuff, but one of the things that you need to have as a part of your strategy, part of your vision, is this mindset of being a person who's growing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to grow an organization, it starts with a growing leader. Don't forget that part as well. But I love this cut through all the clutter. What really is important? What are you trying to accomplish? Why does it matter? If you'll ask that question, I think you'll be a more effective leader. You'll be able to help the people around you. If you've lost sight of that and you find yourself in all the noise, all the clutter, there's static in your system right now, let's get it dialed back into high definition today. Make sure that we're locked in on what really matters. I think we will. It's gonna not just benefit us, it's gonna benefit all the people who are following us.
And let me throw one in.
Yeah,
I know
jump
you're
in.
trying to land the plane, but let me throw one more in. There are going to be situations, and maybe more than you would like, where you really don't know what to do. And you've got multiple viable options. Trust your heart, trust your gut. Judgment may be your greatest contribution. When you're faced with multiple options, at some point, you need to decide. Your people are waiting on your direction in many, many cases. I mean, you don't want them encumbered by your lack of clarity, but at some point, the leader needs to make the call. We're going to do this, and we're not going to do that. So trust your judgment. That's one reason you're in the leadership role that you're in.
I can't say it any better than that. We're going to leave it there. We'll come back tomorrow. New question. Excited about tomorrow's question. It's going to be great. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.